looping code, hollow gods in download mode. I scream in static, breathe in rust, and all I build will turn to dust.
All right, what is up? Trick or treat, spooky season is indeed upon us. What is up? It is Nick LaRocco at Neekbreaker on Instagram, and I am here, of course, with my fellow WCW Tag Team Champion. Sir, please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, it's Mack, Curbside Hero on Instagram, and we are here tonight to cover the 1997 Halloween Havoc Spooktacular.
Ooh,
Nick.
Happy Hexgiving.
Nick, I know we're going to get into the show and everything, but I was pleasantly surprised by how much I liked this show.
Yeah, dude, this show was honestly a banger. You had some of like the best matches. You think about too, top to bottom, what this card had. If you look at what the Nitros were leading up to it and all the shows, they had such a great roster, and there was a lot of stuff looking up. And you know, as we covered previously with Starrcade '97, it almost looked like it was going to be one of the greatest times in wrestling history. So shout out to Donnie Patty being in here. First WCW pay-per-view ever watched and recorded on VHS. My man, I was watching this on VHS too. So we had the good version.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I really enjoyed this show. I went in completely blind. I know I'm aging myself here. I was born in '82, so this was like right around in my wheelhouse. But I like you, Nick. You grew up a WCW guy more than a WWF guy. I did as well. I ordered all the WCW pay-per-views. But this was honestly like one of the better WCW shows that I've watched in years. Like, I really enjoyed this. I mean, we've watched shows from the 80s and the 70s for this show, but and that were really good, you know, because they had legends and like Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard and Ric Flair. But man, this was WCW just about to fall off the cliff, but it wasn't quite at the cliff yet, so it was still enjoyable, you know.
Yeah. Dude, you could definitely see some of the like upcoming potential.
Yeah, because like I said to you before the show, when I saw when they mentioned Diamond Dallas Page versus Randy Savage, I went, oh, face versus face, and then they did the promo with him and Liz behind the NWO banner, and I went, oh shit, I thought that was like early '98. I'm like, dude, Savage, you were just fighting these guys like last year, like right before this show. Like, what are you doing?
Like, no, Randy, not like this. Like, oh, yeah. Randy is with them. Which itself, like, I remember as a fan being very confused when he did join, because when you think about the Halloween Havoc the year before, back in '96, it was just like, wait, Randy, you just fought with Hogan, and now all of a sudden you're coming back to join him?
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what, man? This was honestly like peak how these guys look, how I remember them in my brain. Like, when I think of Hogan in the NWO, like his look tonight is like what I picture. Same with Diamond Dallas Page with his forever rib tape look with the jeans and the hair. That's how I remember Diamond Dallas Page, and Chris Jericho, just like fresh, like not fresh, but like coming off of his ECW and New Japan run. Like, man, that's Lionheart to me. That's Lionheart, Chris Jericho.
Oh, not that break the walls down, huh? Shout out to the network dub.
Oh God, dude, they network dubbed Voodoo Child out too.
That's right.
Because Hogan came out playing the guitar, and it was the NWO theme. And I think we had heard that theme like 40 times that night.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's a lot of A lot of just the thing of Hogan's taking over. This is his show, brother. What you gonna do, dude, when this is all about me, brother?
Now, I got a quick question before we go into the news. How soon before this show did Bischoff turn on the NWO? Turn to join the NWO, because he's like not in NWO colors. He hasn't cut his hair yet short. He's still like executive, like first Nitro announcer, Eric Bischoff look, but he's a heel.
I know the turn happens around the time after Halloween Havoc 96, but before World War III 96.
Oh wow! So he's well into the NWO turn.
Yeah. So at this point, it's been nearly a year.
But he hasn't. But it seemed like to me like he hadn't really fleshed out like the Eric Bischoff heel character yet, where he'd come out, he'd pat his chest, and go like this to everybody. You know, he seems kind of like. He seems like baby Bischoff.
Yeah, he's still definitely figuring it out. And I think, through this show in particular, and we're going to talk about that in a bit, I think there's definitely the elements where he's piecing it together. And, there's elements there. But like we said, he's piecing it together. But, Mac, are you ready for some news? Yeah,
absolutely. I have a shit ton of notes. I'm probably going to skip over some because it's like way too long. But, I'm ready.
I understand. So I'm going to just lightning round rapid fire through some of these. Feel free, if you need to throw something out there, just interrupt me whenever you can.
All right.
One of the things I wrote down here, though, is I just love, so Geto is on the second match of the show. Good old New Japan Booker, am I right? And he's on an American Excursion at this point in time, and after only one match on main event against a jobber, he manages to get booked on Halloween Havoc, which, for those that don't know, like, Halloween Havoc is seen as, by the Turner executives and Eric Bischoff, as like the top show, because that's where all the sponsors come in. And even though Starrcade's the one with all the history and tradition, the Turner executives saw this as the biggest show. So again, I'm just thinking how hilarious it is. It's just like, someone coming over and then all of a sudden, hey, you're booked in the second match at WrestleMania.
Didn't they say it was an unadvertised match as well?
Yep, this was actually a last-minute match, so I'm going to actually get to that right here. According to Dave Meltzer, Jericho versus Geto was added to the card at the last minute. Originally, we were going to have Goldberg versus Ming, but this was scrapped due to Goldberg dealing with some light injuries. There was also a rumor that Booker T was going to have a singles match, but that also didn't happen. I think the two... Bear in mind, like, historically speaking, we are only about a month into the career of a Mr. Bill Goldberg. So
we'll talk about that.
Oh yeah. So like when you're thinking about like Goldberg versus Ming, like I want people listening at home, like this is going to be a version of Goldberg that has barely at all been fleshed out, and Ming has already been established as a killer, and that would have been an interesting way to put someone over, especially if their first month.
Yeah, it's Goldberg, no lat spread, no calves, really, no like muscle. He has muscle definition, but I mean, he becomes just the Michelin man in a couple of months.
Remember in like that first month too, he's like randomly doing backflips.
Oh, dude, yeah, he's waiting to do the spear, and he does a random backflip and then spears the guy.
Oh, it's like what?
Do you remember the one he did over the rope?
No.
So he did one. So he was standing like maybe like with the ropes like 2 feet behind him, and someone went to go swing, and he literally did a backflip and landed on the apron holding the ropes.
Why is that cool? Why did he stop that?
I don't know, but I'm gonna have to find you the clip once the show's over, because that really sticks out in my mind. I hope it's not a Mandela effect and it was somebody else, but I clearly remember it being like baby Bill Goldberg.
That sounds actually genuinely cool. I want to see that.
Yeah.
But speaking of genuinely cool, we had, of course, Mysterio versus Guerrero on this card, and that was actually supposed to lead, and a lot of people know this story, Ray losing his mask on this night. But the finish was allegedly changed minutes before the show went live. Part of the issues going into this was Bischoff threatening to sue Rey Mysterio for a breach of contract if he doesn't follow through. And in a rare time of politics working out for the better, the well-beloved Rey Mysterio had wrestlers top to bottom throughout the card trying to talk to management on his behalf to get the finish changed, including, allegedly, The Outsiders and a Mr. Hollywood Hogan speaking up for Rey Mysterio to keep the mask.
Well, that's because Nash wanted to take it 2.5 years later, brother.
You know what'll work for me, dude, is if I'm able to be the one that rips your mask off, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to see that little jabroni's face.
Don't worry, dude. I'll make sure that you can keep that mask now. But later on, maybe you could do a favor for me, brother.
Yeah. Later on, man, the big man's going to take your mask.
Oh, poor Ray. But, speaking of, we are in a showdown in Sin City for Halloween Havoc. So the Nevada State Athletic Commission was giving WCW some issues, particularly when it came to booking Disco Inferno versus Jacqueline. There were several elements that had to be changed to make it happen. And we're going to talk about exactly what those were later on as we get there. Donnie Patty says, I know it would have been a mess of a match. I just wish we got Vader versus Goldberg just for the chaos. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to see a match of, the big meat men just going at it.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Let's see. Dave Meltzer gave Ray versus Eddie a 4.75 stars.
Boo, Dave Meltzer sucks.
Dave, get out of here.
Boo, 1997 Dave Meltzer.
I just want to say real quick on that point, for a fact, a match like that, the IWC would have never let him live that down if this was the social media era of the time.
Listen, if I was Dave Meltzer and I saw that step up springboard rope assisted DDT, I'm giving this match 9.5 stars.
Absolutely, this is the break in the scale.
Yeah.
Six is going to be out with a fractured vertebrae. It's part of the reason he's not wrestling, which, oh my gosh, he really got locked in there with Vilas Zabisco for someone with a fractured vertebrae.
Yo, dude, he hit that spin kick to Luger's head like crazy, dude.
Yeah. And this injury is what is partly the reason for Sean Waltman's release, though another consideration was his attitude issues. I heard some people saying that when they were backstage, and this is according to DDT Digest, Waltman allegedly ran past them at the MGM Grand Garden Arena and was with some unidentified person who was just cussing in front of kids nonstop.
Oh, hey, you look to your blood. Hey, Eric Bischoff, screw you, pal.
Oh, who else was going to be saying that? Mr. Paul Roma, because Paul Roma has been showing up backstage at WCW events to try and get signed. However, Alex Wright's actually pretty well liked backstage, and after remembering how Paul Roma treated him in 1994, nobody wants to betray the love and trust of the big bratwurst.
Oh, man. Who's he become? Berlin, right?
Berlin, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what the big thing was? I learned this on Not That Tom Green, shout out to him. I was on one of the streams and he was talking about how with the Berlin character, Alex Wright, when he shaved the hair and then when they dropped the character, it was going to grow back so he could go back to being Das Wunderkind, right? But then what happened was he noticed it wasn't growing back at all and he wasn't shaving it. So it was like, well, that's life from now on.
Do you remember a match on Nitro with it was Jericho and Alex Wright before he was doing the dancing gimmick?
Yes, I know exactly what you're going to talk about.
And they I think it was a count out victory for maybe Jericho or something, and he was doing the overt, he was trying to be a babyface. He was trying to be his Japanese Lionheart character. Yeah. And he went backstage, and I guess they were like, "Hey, great match." And he's like, "That match sucked." He's like, "I'm not a babyface." He's like, "I don't want to be a babyface." And then they had him, I think, the next couple of months come out and start complaining that he was that he wasn't getting a fair shake and blah 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 blah. And then they eventually turned him heel. And I think during that match with Alex Wright too, they were booing him.
Yeah, the crowd was not having it. And especially, too, when you're in this era of WCW, there's a reason Glacier just wasn't working out when the NWO, hit the scene, right? And when you're thinking of that super white meat baby face, even, the years before when we had the Dungeon of Doom running amok, the fans were turning on that. The fans were turning on Hogan.
Yeah. I mean, how much money did they put into that Blood Runs Cold campaign just for it to flop?
Bro, that was, at least $20,000 they invested into that.
Yeah. And then they had Glacier selling his gimmick to Kaz Hayashi backstage.
I gotta say, late era Glacier was fun. Do you remember when he came in like late WCW and was Norman Smiley's hero?
No, I don't remember that. I remember he became wasn't he oh man, what was his character after Glacier? I know it wasn't it
Coach
like
Buzz Stern.
the Coach Buzz Stern. That was it. Yep.
Did you
Yep.
see Glacier on Ring of Honor?
Yes, I did. Well, wait, I saw him in a battle royal, I believe.
Glacier was just recently on Ring of Honor with the Frat House and the Blue Meanie.
No way.
Yeah, they just did a promo with them, or a vignette rather, and that was fun. I suggest anyone, please, after this show, look that up. It's funny.
Dude, John. I heard you guys talking on the pod. I was listening to the podcast last night while I was working. Great job, by the way. I saw you slip out with about maybe 20 minutes left to go. But
my internet crashed, and I was so upset because I was like actually having a lot of fun with that, and I had a day off the next day too. So I'm like, no.
Yeah, I was listening, and then it was just Greg and John, and I was like, oh, it must have been night time for Nick. But no, I heard you guys saying like John was like the Frat House is like genuinely like good like television. You know, it's an app, but it's a paid for app, but like good television. And he was like, and it's a shame. He's like Brian Pillman Jr. has had 2 head starts on him, and Griff Garrison is probably going to be the most over guy of that tag team.
I still want to give a shout out to Mama Laraco and her saying Griff Garrison looks more like a Von Erich than the Von Erichs.
Dude, I heard that and I was dying laughing. I was actually walking down the steps and I had to stop and hold on to the railing when I heard you say that. But yeah, Glacier. I'll have to check that out. Glacier was one of my favorites back in the day until he wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. But getting right onto that news, we just kind of mentioned a little bit, World War III, and World War III is what follows this pay-per-view in November. World War III 1997 actually sold out in record pay-per-view time for a total gate of $306,000, which was actually the first time WCW had ever had a gate that was over 300K. And the big thing I want to say here is people were trashing on World War III, and they still do to this day, but it was without a doubt a great attraction that consistently did good numbers for them over the last several years.
Did you happen to see right before the Hogan Piper main event, they did that apocalyptic guy walking through the wasteland for World War III?
That was such a cool vignette.
With the siren in the background, I was like, oh my God, that's so awesome.
They're like carrying like Dusty, like Bobby Heenan in the background, like they're ghosts in this nuclear wasteland.
Yeah, and just showing like clips from like the 95, 96 World War III in the background, just guys getting the shit beat out of them. I was like, oh, dude. I was like, if I saw that right before the Hogan like live when I was like 15, I would have been run upstairs, but Dad, I could order the next one.
Dude, like freaking, that was a real cool shot when they had like the ring inside all the rubble.
Oh, dude. That promo, I even wrote it down. I was like, holy shit, this fucking promo rules.
Yeah, it's like, that is without a doubt. And like, this isn't just because like we're huge fans of like World War III, which we are, we'll admit that. But like,
and we will be doing another one soon, Nick.
Absolutely. November approaches. But like, that is without a doubt. I'm going to go as far as to say it was a top 5, if not top 10, just overall pay-per-view vignette. Like, if you're going to air that as a commercial, that is so cool. It's eye-catching. It's unique. That's the way to go.
Yeah. So I just want to say something really quick before we do the news. I don't want to make this a 5-hour podcast, but we were supposed to do the Ric Flair and Terry Funk I Quit match, but Nick and I's schedules didn't match up. My mom is unfortunately, my mother's in remission now, but I've been taking care of my mother. She was diagnosed with breast cancer back in January, and it's kind of hard to take care of mom and get a podcast together, even though it's once a month, but we will do that show. I don't know when we'll do it because Nick has the pick for after this show. Nick gets to pick the show, and then I think after the next podcast, whatever we do, that we will default to the New York Knockdown.
Oh, is that what it was called?
I think it was New York something with Flair and Terry Funk in the I Quit match. Oh, was it Clash of the Champions?
Clash of the Champions, yeah.
Clash
You know
of
what the
the
fun
Champions.
part was? Right after you said that, I went to YouTube, and they had just uploaded that very Clash of the Champions to the vault.
Oh, great. So you guys can go
Yeah.
and watch that before we do it in 2 months. Because, like I said, Nick's got the next pick.
Woo-hoo. Oh, baby, I can't wait. But yeah, so that's
Nick's wheels are spinning right now.
yeah. Oh yeah, I'm thinking, I'm scheming. But hey, guess what? In a couple of months, we're gonna have another WCW show. Thunder is going to be making its debut in January. Shit. So that's
grand opening, grand closing.
And the Turner Network is actually providing an extra $8 million budget increase, particularly for more talent. And WCW does end up signing more talent around this time frame. John Nord, Barry Darsow, Marty Jannetty, Rick Martel, Gentleman Chris Adams, Norman Smiley, Fit Finley, and many others.
The Repo Man?
Repo Man. Barry Darsow
the booker of WXO Wrestling?
Dude, Barry Darsow is so freaking entertaining at this time frame. Like, he's always been really good, but like, he goes above and beyond to be that like really extra. Like, he is almost like he's trying to be a stereotypical bad guy wrestler in this time frame.
So I was going back and listening to some of the old Deadlock wrestling podcasts. Shout out to the boys, Ski Woe. But they were doing a show on WXO Wrestling, which was a short-lived, 3-show taping that was owned and operated by Ted DiBiase, who wanted to do family-friendly wrestling while ECW, WCW, and WWF were telling everybody to suck their dick on national television. And Barry Darsow was the booker, but he was also a wrestler. And they had, I guess, Ted DiBiase had negotiated something with Priceline.com. Remember those old commercials with the girl from Big Bang Theory and William Shatner?
Yeah.
Right? So Barry Darsow comes out to make the save, and he's wearing a Priceline.com shirt. And just going, yeah, Priceline.com, Priceline.com. I'm like, oh my fucking God.
Can you imagine if this was like the debut of Nitro and Hogan's got the Pastamania shirt on? He's like, go and get your Hulkaroos, brother.
God.
They're right up there.
Who's the greatest wrestler alive? Macho Man. Hey, kill that guy, brother.
End him. I love it. Anytime we can do that. Hey, hello. We got someone watching from Venezuela.
Holy shit.
Welcome, welcome. We are here talking all about the news, rumors, and the event itself of Halloween Havoc 97. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, wow.
But hey, let's get right back to that news and we'll get right to the show. Akira Hokuto has just vacated the WCW women's title due to injury. Believe it or not, she actually was still the champ after not defending it for months. But I guess what happened was she collapsed at a clothing store from a hefty back injury. And like we said, WCW just haven't booked the title in months, and they decided to just straight up abandon the title.
Yeah. Didn't she lose the show? Didn't she lose the title to somebody on a Japanese show, and then that person carried the title, and then she came to WCW, and they were like, "Yeah, she's still the WCW Women's Champion." Like, they never acknowledged it.
Something like that. I know they did have the tournament at the end of '96 for a cruiserweight women's title that also was quickly abandoned and forgotten. But yeah, there was only a couple of women's champ for either one, which both felt cool. But at the same time, with this one, they also called it the women's heavyweight title, which felt, it doesn't feel right to say heavyweight title with the women's championship.
Yeah, especially if you give it to somebody like Bull Nakano, that's insensitive.
Right, it feels so insensitive. That's exactly the word.
Not now. I mean, Bull Nakano's always looked great. I've always.
Bull Nakano's awesome.
Dude, and Akira Hokuto in that tag match that we watched.
Shout out to World War III.
Yeah, man. It all comes back to World War III.
It always does. Which, again, was another banger of a show, and we covered that one. So after this, hey, feel free to go and check that out. But yeah, so getting back to it, for weeks, people have been sending letters and calling the Turner Towers to complain about that, the NWO, but in particular, the way they recently disrespected Arn Anderson the month before.
Oh, no.
The Fall Brawl, which actually leads to a particular incident with the legendary Cauliflower Alley Club. So,
Oh.
at a recent Cauliflower Alley Club banquet around this time, classy Freddie Blassie is actually going on a huge anti-WCW rant about how the guys like Hogan, Hall, and Nash are ruining wrestling and that they should just go back to the power plant to learn how to work.
He's not wrong.
And honestly, but the big thing is, I never thought about those guys having heat with like Blassie and the others. But one thing I did think about though, notice that when the NWO jumps over and we see them in the WWF in a few years, we stop seeing those opening promo packages with Freddie Blassie that used to open all the pay-per-views.
Oh wow, you're right.
So maybe someone had to get cut for me to join the roster, brother.
Now was that the one where they came out and dressed up like the Four Horsemen? You could have my spot, liver spot. Was that the one he was
That's
talking
exactly the one that people were complaining about, and a lot of people.
Yeah. I think Flair and Anderson were legitimately pissed at that too.
Yeah, I know. Like one of the big things was, I think the story is Arn knew what they were going to talk about. Flair didn't know how far they were going to go, and Arn was worried that they made him look like an alcoholic.
Were they aware that they were going to dress up like them?
From what I heard, yes.
Okay.
I think they just weren't aware how far they were going to take it.
Yeah, because that seems like something that like Hall and Nash would do. They're like, no, don't worry, we're not going to do that. And then they come out looking like, DX dressed up like the Nation,
Ooh, what are you talking about, Mac? That never happened.
Oh, no, Ms. Ark Henry never happened, no.
Nope, that was never a thing. Don't ever look that up. But speaking of things that were never meant to be, Jeff Jarrett's contract has just expired with WCW, and Jeff and Bischoff just can't agree with anything. On an interview on YouTube, Jeff mentioned that he was happy with the book, or he was not happy, rather, with the booking committee, and he really didn't like that top stars were using their political influence to change finishes on the fly, brother.
Yeah, man, like people people say now like Andrade went from WWE to AEW, back to WWE, back to AEW, now even possibly back to WWE with this whole like contract situation. Like
it was Donnie, yeah.
Yeah, I know. But guys back in the day, like Jarrett went from WWF to WCW, back to WWF, back to W. Like this isn't like anything new, This isn't like this. Guys do this all the time. It's just that people have been so like WWE/F was the only company around from 2001 to 2000, the middle of 2019. So there wasn't anywhere to go. If you were just a WWF fan and someone left and went to like Ring of Honor or went to like PWG or went to like any place else, like you're not seeking out a video on demand service or waiting a month for a DVD to come out to watch that show. But now guys are doing what they did in WCW, jumping ship and going back and forth. And this just isn't anything new. And people act like, oh, Andrade could be the first guy to go to WWE. And it's like, dude, have you met Jeff Jarrett?
Honestly, JEWF has been anywhere and everywhere multiple times in a row.
Jeff Jarrett was so pissed off at both WWF and WCW that he made his own company and made himself the champion.
It feels like a very Jarrett family thing to do.
Yeah.
But he does have that relationship with Taylor Swift, though.
Oh, yeah, he does. He was a babysitter for his kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of close calls when it comes to some new Japanese talent that could have, at one point or another, maybe potentially have joined the ranks of WCW. One in particular is the legendary and super innovative man that does not ever get enough credit for what he deserves. Taka Michinoku was a very hot commodity around this time, and WCW and WWF are trying to sign him. WWF, of course, signs him with a whopping $333,000 contract as the head of their new light heavyweight division.
Dude, can I tell you, I just recently watched Taka Michinoku versus Great Sasuke from I think it was Canadian Stampede.
Yeah.
Dude, that match blew my dick off. I'd never seen it before, and I was like, oh my god, dude, this match is, they're like legitimately hitting each other in the nose, like the face with like palm strikes and kicking each other in the head, and like Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross are on commentary and they're like, well, I've never seen this before, Kang.
it's crazy too because like that was super like revolutionary for American wrestling at the time, and I think it would have been really cool if WWF really like went up a notch to try to compete with WCW's cruiserweights. Because imagine, because WCW's cruiserweights, they were strongly based around the lucha libre style, but I
Yeah.
really like the high flying Japanese styles that WWF started with, great Sasuke and Taka. So imagine if they
Yeah.
kept going with that.
Yeah, and the fact that like if Taka had gone to WCW, man, I mean matches with like Jericho and matches with like Ultimo Dragon and Kidman and like all these guys, dude. Juventud Guerrero, Psychosis, like oh man, it's just in an alternate timeline those matches have happened.
Dude, that would have been crazy. Taka against those guys would have been great. I understand, that was such a huge money contract he got, but I feel like we probably would have remembered Taka in America a lot more if he would have joined the ranks of the WCW Cruiserweights.
Yeah, and then now all he's remembered for is being thrown over the top rope in the 2000 Royal Rumble and landing directly on his nose.
Man, that was brutal. Anytime that was probably one of the most wicked things I will always cringe at.
And dude, they showed it like 50 more times.
Yeah. Oh, and Jerry Lawler just tastelessly laughing at it the whole time.
Dude, was that Don Patty that just said that? Yeah, he said that he got a WWF title match against Triple H on Raw. He did.
That's true.
Yeah. Dude, this is the way that Taka used to come, when dudes used to come off the rope and he would just give them the Michinoku driver and it was so snug but so safe. Man, God, you know what? All right, I'm watching some Taka matches after this.
Man, like we said, Taka Michinoku deserves so much love and credit for what he's done in wrestling. And
Michinoku Pro.
He's still active, too.
I know, Jesus.
Like, this man stands the test of time so many years later.
And he still looks the same.
He does, and he doesn't, like, wrestle, like, a lot of time has passed. Like, yeah, there's the, like, kind of mounting injuries, but aside from that, for the style he wrestles, man, he still goes high level.
Oh, it's awesome.
But another Japanese legend that we can look at, who probably wasn't going to actually sign, but theoretically, this, in an alternate universe, could have happened. Someone we might have heard of named Atsushi Onita.
Oh, Jesus.
Onita has, quote-unquote, quit FMW to form his own promotion called Zen, Z-E-N, and this was meant to kind of be more or less a WCW/NWO type angle, and Onita was actually putting some feelers out there because he wanted to see if he could work with promotions like WCW and WWF, but nothing really did happen there. But, I'm thinking about it like, imagine Onita in the NWO, or imagine him getting like the ghetto treatment and having like a match on Halloween Havoc out of nowhere.
Well, dude, I could actually, picture him in the NWO because all he'd have to do is just change his undershirt from his black jean jacket. That's all he had to do.
he looks the part. Like, he would fit in the NWO perfectly fine.
I mean, they wouldn't let him smoke or drink come into the ring like he did because they took that away from Sandman when he became Hardcore Hack. But man, oh, hey, do you remember? Here's a crazy thing. So Onita, when I don't know, one of his several retirement matches, he was out with an injury, and they had somebody dress up as a fake Onita and pretend that he was Onita and FMW. And when the real Onita came back, he faced fake Onita in his retirement match, and fake Onita beat real Onita in his retirement match.
What has happened? This feels very DDT to me.
I just thought I'd throw that out there because
that's fantastic. Japanese comedy wrestling doesn't get enough love either.
Yeah, because we're not going to have much chance to talk about Onita on a WCW show.
This is probably the one and only chance we've ever had to mention him here.
Yeah.
That would have been so cool, though, to see him like walk out there. And Vegas feels like the perfect place. If you're going to see Onita pop up at any pay-per-view, one in Vegas is perfect.
Yeah.
But who else could have potentially popped up? Someone that worked a dark match recently on Nitro was Mr. Nails.
Oh my God. Nails that attacked Vince McMahon.
Nails that attacked Vince McMahon. You know exactly why he got that dark match. And Nails ended up working a dark match against Yuji Nagata. That's
Blue Justice.
Blue Justice against Nails. Blue Justice versus the Orange that needed justice.
That sounds like my TEW in 1997.
And I guess this match was set up as a favor to Mongo, who apparently is friends with Nails, which I did not know that.
Oh, really?
Apparently, and like we said, I'm sure there's a bit of that history Nails has with Vince that also allowed for him to get the dark match. But it's said that the dark match was literally so bad, fans booed him to hell. And it was that bad that they didn't even want him as a jobber. They were just like, nah. Even with the $8 million extra budget, Nails wasn't good enough.
So didn't Nails come in like the early 90s and he was the prisoner and they just reignited the Boss Man feud?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Let's see here. And only a couple little things. There's this Southern California indie standout. We might have heard of him recently. I think something Christopher Daniels is being set to get a few WCW tryouts, and eventually these work out and he goes to the power plant. Yeah,
and he was almost the higher power.
Exactly. Imagine the alternate universe.
Oh, Christopher Daniels with the hair?
He was also the higher power in WCW after that, because Russo really wanted to use him.
With the Vampiro, right?
Yeah.
Dude,
Russo needed
that
to.
after like 2 weeks.
Turner Censor said, you can't call him that, because he was called God.
Yeah, I remember that, like Vampiro going in front of like a throne.
Yep.
And like kneeling before him and him putting his like hand on his head. Oh my God, dude, that just unlocked like some tech in my brain.
Yeah, that's Christopher Daniels.
Wow.
Oh, man. Well, we got 2 more things, and we'll get right to the event. Ric Flair, despite being unhappy with recent bookings this year, has just re-signed with WCW around the time of following Havoc. Apparently, the WWF did inquire and have interest in signing Flair, but this also, if you recall, will lead in a few months to further issues with the Nate and Bischoff, as well as a contract issue that goes to court in April of 1998.
They still got beef to this day.
They do.
Did you ever hear the story about when Eric Bischoff became general manager of Raw? Like, Flair went to his office, like, not on the show, but like, like they were getting ready for the show, and literally just like walked in and punched Bischoff in the face and like started like hitting Bischoff on the couch, and they like pulled Nate off him. Nate goes, "All right, that's all I needed. I'm good." And then I guess later on after the show, like Rick and Eric went like drinking, like. And I guess Rick got like reprimanded or got like a fine because they said that if he had like put any bruises on Bischoff's face, like, they would have been screwed for the show,
Right.
And I guess and according to Bischoff, and Bischoff is a notorious grifter, liar, piece of shit now in 2025, but he said on his show before he became all of those things, probably like 2021, that he goes, Rick came up to me and he goes, I put my hands up because we had just fought like 3 hours before, and he goes, hey, let's go get a drink, and they went down to like a local like watering hole, and like he said they drank until like 2 a.m.
Can we take a moment to appreciate anytime Ric Flair has had beef with someone, we always hear about it getting settled over alcohol. That's the most niche thing I've ever heard.
Dude, he's still doing that in 2025? Yep. Dude, listen to me, okay?
The Reddit posts.
Hulk Hogan dead. Okay, Ric Flair still alive and kicking and shitting his pants in bars.
Shout out to the whole Reddit post dedicated to servers who aren't even wrestling fans, just like, hey, does Ric Flair go to your bar and poop himself?
Oh yeah, dude. Some girl was like, oh yeah, he came in one time and shit his pants and then proceeded to stay for 2 hours.
Nate, please. And hey, you just mentioned the Hulkster. This is the last bit of news we got here, but it's a doozy. Hulk Hogan's contract will be expiring in the near future, and the Hulkster has been trying to see if the WWF want to rehire him. The wrestlers backstage in the WWF want Ric Flair. They really do not want Hulk Hogan back. And most people seem to believe, though, that Hogan's trying to use interest in the WWF just for leverage and contract negotiations. Hogan is actually also wanting WCW to bring Ed Leslie back, which does happen because he comes back as the Disciple. I gotta say, though, Disciple, wow, was he in great shape for that character.
Yeah, but he was just Hulk Hogan's doppelganger.
That's exactly what he was. But he looked great. That was the best Ed Leslie ever looked.
And then he became like the disciple of the warrior in the One Warrior Nation that became the Two Warrior Nation.
And one of the things, though, is Hogan gets his wish. He gets his disciple. who gets to be his young boy that he's had for 20 years. And
That's almost as old as him.
exactly. And we have what is also one of the most wild contracts in professional wrestling history. And again, this, because of the 2000 lawsuit when Hulk Hogan left WCW, you, after this show, can watch and look through and see everything that was in that WCW contract that Hulk Hogan signed around this time frame. And the Turner executives...
Yeah. No, go ahead. You go. I'll show you. Go ahead.
Real quick, just say the Turner execs believe, rightly or wrongly, that Hogan is solely responsible for the success that WCW has seen, and they want to make him happy no matter the cost. And one way or another, this at least leads to at least a few of the 1,000 cuts that lead to the demise of WCW.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hogan was a gigantic draw, dude. People went there to see, you know.
And turning heel changed the game. Oh my goodness.
But look at this.
Dude. Stay sharp. I love it. Dude, that's
Stay Sharp,
cool.
The Barber, Brutus the Barber, Beefcake. Dude, his book goes into very, very, very graphic details about his parasailing accident.
Oh wow.
There's let me see. I think there's let me see 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a picture of it. I actually bookmarked it to show you. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, I see that, yeah.
Yeah, there's actually chapter 17, the accident. There is about 40 pages on it.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way he survived that, because, for me, it always bothered me how Hogan always likes to tell the story that, the jet ski accident, brother, that's why I had the black eye. But then when we see and what we've known about Ed Leslie's parasailing accident, it's like, Hogan, you were literally taking and modifying his story just to escape the fact Randy Savage kicked your ass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I just thought I'd show that because of talking about the Booty Man.
Booty Man, Zodiac, yes, no, yes, no.
They actually wanted to call him the Zodiac Killer, but they couldn't.
Is that actually?
Yeah. They wanted to bring him in as a Zodiac Killer, but there was the standards and practices were like, no, you're not doing that. There was just recently a story that just came out. Sorry to deviate. I know you don't.
No, all good.
There was a story recently that during Bray Wyatt's height, when he was not the spooky guy, but he was the cult leader with Eric Rowan and Brody Lee, that they wanted him to meet with Charles Manson in jail.
I heard that.
But WWE standards and practices were like, nah, get the fuck out of here, dog.
I know, too. That is actually, there's a law, I think it's the Son of Sam law, where people, especially serial killers, can't have anything that might give them financial gain for their crimes.
Well, technically, I know this is going to sound really bad, but technically Charles Manson didn't murder anybody. He was the mastermind by telling people to go murder people, but people classify Manson as a serial killer, and it's like, nah, dude, he was a cult leader that brainwashed people to kill people.
He's the Vince McMahon of it all.
Yeah, but he also carved a swastika in his head and was foaming at the mouth, notoriously, for a long time. So yeah,
there's a lot of reasons why we can't have him in Bray Wyatt.
No.
But hey, that is all the news that I had. Mac, would you like to lead the way on the show?
Yes, sir. So, was it just me, or when this thing opened, I liked the opening package of the show, fading in and out with Hogan and Piper transitioning, but it didn't sound like someone was opening a bag of chips during this thing.
I was taking it like it was like radiation, the Geiger counter. That's how I felt with it. Yeah.
But no, it was a good video package. I liked it. It was just chronicling the almost 1 year rivalry of Hogan and Piper. Tony says Tony Schiavone, Dusty Rhodes, and Bobby the Brain Heenan are on commentary tonight. Tony says that it was a year ago tonight at this very event, that in this venue, that Piper returned and challenged Hogan. So that's a good tidbit. They say that this is probably going to be the greatest steel cage match of all time, which is blasphemy when you have Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA.
Mm-hmm.
The I Quit steel cage match.
One of the greatest of all time, which we covered.
Yes, we did. But Nick, the first match, like I said, I went into this blind. The first match, the first person you see, but besides, were there any dark matches for this, by the way, Nick?
Not that I was able to find, which actually surprised me.
Okay, so the first person through the curtain is Sonny Ono, and he's being followed behind by Blue Justice, Yuji Nagata. I was unlocked.
I watched this show a long time ago, but like you said, I forgot Yuji Nagata was on the roster at this point.
Yeah, and then I was even more stun-locked when the second person out of the, third, technically, with Sonny Ono, is Ultimo Dragon. I was like, holy shit.
I do remember I texted you, and I was just like, we're starting the show off with Yuji Nagata and Ultimo Dragon, let's go!
Yeah. Having Mike Tenay on commentary for these Japanese matches is just such a breath of fresh air because he knows the moves, he knows the history. Of course, they mentioned that Dragon once held 10 belts at one time, including the WCW Cruiserweight title.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
CEO.
Ultimone,
yes.
So they start off with like some, kicks back. Ultimo starts back with some like kicks and stuff, and Nagato trying to overpower him because he's a big man. He eventually catches Ultimo Dragon with a huge spike pile driver for a 2 count. I also wrote, what I like about these Japanese and Mexican matches in WCW is that they weren't watered down.
Right.
They didn't go soft at all. It's like WCW said, yeah, don't change anything. Go out there and kick each other's asses for 8 minutes.
They felt different every time, too.
Yeah. One spot, Dragon goes to jump over the top rope, and Nagata nails him with a kick to the gut. As we see Raven and the Flock make their way down to the ringside from the audience with Billy Kidman, who is hooked on methamphetamines.
We also had a man who would become one of the top 2 YouTubers, Stevie Richards.
Oh my God, Stevie Richards in the BWO, but not BWO attire.
Exactly. But dude, that kick from Yuji Nagata on the Airborne Ultimo Drag, that was on point.
Dude, right in the guts. It was awesome. Handspring elbow attempt by Dragon stopped with the knee to the back. Did you see that?
Dude, that was insane.
Nagata was in the corner, and he kind of like switched over, did a handspring elbow, and Nagata just like put his knee up, and like the shoulder blades of Ultimo Dragon just went right into the knee. It was awesome. Almost right on cue, Nagata runs Dragon elbow between the post and targets the arm and kicks it over and over again. He twists the arm and does the over-the-shoulder arm breaker. Nagata lock, but Dragon gets to the ropes. Dragon sleeper, but Nagata escapes. They are just slapping and kicking the absolute dog shit out of each other. Dragon goes to the top, Frankenstein into Nagata. Dragon goes for the Dragon sleeper, but Nagata quickly slips out into the arm breaker, and Dragon taps quickly.
You never saw Dragon really tap before, too. That was,
dude. I mean, instantly. There was no Blue Dragon. There was no Blue Justice. I roll back in the head arm breaker. This was just a strict I got your shoulder trapped. You're not going anywhere. Arm breaker. After the match, Sonny Ono hits the front kick to the elbow and then of Dragon while being held by Nagata. And then he presents Yuji Nagata with the bonus check.
Nice envelope.
I gave this match 3.5 stars. I loved it.
Yeah, I am ashamed to say that back in the day when I used to watch this, young Nick growing up thought that this match is boring and whatnot, but modern grown-up Nick with a great sense of what good wrestling is.
Yep.
Wow, what an opener. And I forgot you had Yuji Nagata and Ultimo Dragon here, so I had a lot of fun with this. And for everything, you had stiff kicks. This felt perfect for Vegas when you got all kinds of boxing and all kinds of the birth of UFC around this time frame. So I think this was a solid way to open the show in Vegas. I'm giving this a 4-star opening.
Yeah, I love this match, man. I thought it was a great way to open the show. The crowd was into it, and it delivered. But yeah, I also said that the Slim Jim posts look really good and not forced like current day WWE.
Yeah, they look really cool.
So up next, we have a unadvertised bonus match with New Japan Pro Wrestling Booker Gato out here in his finest LSU Tigers cheerleader attire.
It does look comfortable, though.
Yeah. Chris Jericho, babyface, WWE, break the walls down music. Despite that, this might be the GOAT right here. Today on commentary is telling the audience about the history of the J Crown and how Gato had held 2 belts in the J Crown. The fans, just like the start of the first match, are looking at something off the screen. I don't know if there's like a fight going on in the audience, but it was very prevalent during the Nagata and Dragon match. The match starts off with both guys trying to feel out each other. Gato takes over. Jericho nails Gato with the clothesline, and Gato does the Rikishi cell and takes 2 power bombs before a Super Frankensteiner that got messed up, and the announcers cover it by saying that Gato knew that Jericho was going to do it and scouted it. But Nick, this Super Frankensteiner off the top rope is where I screamed.
Yeah.
It was bad. What did Donnie Patty just say? Sorry.
Get right back to that. Donnie Patty, I lost you there. There you are. The match for Jericho almost broke his neck.
When the Super Frankensteiner, yeah.
Yeah.
Both guys, that was crazy, man.
Goodness. Dude, I remember, I rewatched that. I knew where it was. I knew when it was coming. And even then, I stood up. I was like, oh, man. Because...
Yeah, that was bad.
So
because it looked like they were in a Spanish fly position.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are they going to do here? And then Jericho just like jumps up on his shoulders, but only gets him like right around like the forearm, like the bicep area.
Yeah.
And they just go. Jericho's like, fuck it. Either I'm flying or I'm dying, man. You know?
Like, Jericho was the luckiest man in Vegas that day. Like, that's crazy.
It was crazy. They exchange strikes, forearms, Jericho with the body slam. Jericho goes for the cover, but Gato kicks out right away. Gato ducks a clothesline and hits a crazy knee breaker on Jericho. That was nuts. It looked like he was going for an atomic drop and then just dropped Jericho down in kind of like a gutbuster position, but the knee was still there. And I was like, oh, man, that's awesome. Gato goes to the second rope with a flying knee, but Jericho avoids it. Gato eats shit, and he taps out in the Lion Tamer to Chris Jericho. This match, it was good, but if this was being done in a Japanese ring, I think it would have got more time. I think Gato would have been a little bit more comfortable. I still gave it 2.5 stars, but I think that this match left a lot on the table.
Absolutely. I mean, the big thing with this match, from what I understand, is this was the match that replaced Goldberg versus Ming. So just the fact you got Jericho, who's, it's Chris Jericho, and especially in 90s Chris Jericho at that, so he could still go. He's putting the pieces together, of course, but he's a great talent. Then you got Gato, who just all of a sudden came in out of nowhere. I pulled up Cage Match real quick because he only had one other WCW match before this, which was 2 weeks prior, where he defeated jobber Andy Lewis on Main Event. So all of a sudden we got this guy on an excursion who just came in out of nowhere, and it's then being featured on the WCW's biggest show, as what the corporate executives refer to it as, just out of nowhere. So I thought that was an interesting way to feature a new talent, and I wish things kind of worked out better. I believe he might have been on a 90-day deal, because I see he has matches all the way through into January. So we do see him on Thunder. But, man, that spot where Jericho nearly dies and gets decapitated was wild, and every time it just makes me go, oh man. And too bad this match outside of that just couldn't hold things up. But due to that injury, I don't want to give this anything less than 2 stars.
Yeah, I gave it 2.5 just to be a little bit generous because it is Jericho.
Exactly.
So Mean Gene is backstage talking to Deborah, as we might know as Stone Cold's wife, and Mongo's wife at the time would later become Stone Cold Steve Austin's wife. He asks who her surprise versus Mongo is, but she won't lead on. She says you're going to have to wait until later, and says that people have speculated that it's Steven Seagal. It's like, wow, that is a reference for the times.
That's a choice.
Mongo comes in. What's that?
I said that is definitely a choice.
Oh yeah. Mongo comes in and says that he gave Deborah everything, brought her into this business. If she wants to start giving back to it, she should start giving by giving him his diamond ring on the finger that he gave her recently. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the WCW Cruiserweight title versus mask match. Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Eddie Guerrero. Oh my God, dude. So Eddie out with the classic belt over the shoulder, horrifying, just crazy, like shit-eating look on his face of disdain, belt over the back of the shoulder, like, God, dude, this is peak human being.
Yeah, dude, it's ripped and shredded for days. Not that Tom Green said that around this time frame, Eddie was not only basically living in the gym, but he was like eating nothing but lettuce.
Jesus. Ray out next in the iconic purple bodysuit. Just, I mean, there's a lot of things that are legendary in wrestling, but when you think of Rey Mysterio in the purple bodysuit, Halloween bodysuit, like that takes you back, man. You know.
Absolutely.
I said, sorry guys, I'm going to sit back and enjoy this one, not pausing for 20 minutes worth of notes. At one point, Ray goes to hit a handspring elbow, but Eddie reverses it into a back suplex that looked crazy. The one thing I took away from this match is that Eddie makes everything that he does on Ray look brutal, but you can tell he's taking care of Ray. Like when he threw him into the steps, it looked like he threw him head first, but you could see that he kind of turned him on his back right before. Ray's somersault plancha into the head scissors outside was fucking crazy. Eddie's power bombs look like they can give you instant CTE. There's one spot in the match where Eddie has Ray in an arm lock. Ray climbs the ropes, does a twisting senton backwards, and DDTs Eddie Guerrero right onto his fucking head.
That was one of the coolest things I ever saw. And I remember when I was rewatching this match, I was just like, you'd never see that anymore. No. And even at the time, that was so far ahead of where it should have been. Like, you'd expect to see something like that today, but even today, no one does that.
Yeah, and it's a credit to both men because that takes two to tango. Yeah. Eddie does Ray to get up there, Eddie to help him maintain his balance, and then Eddie to sell that like he died. So, of course, the ending is when Eddie's going for the Razor's Edge off the top rope, and Ray reverses it into the Hurricanrana and slips into the pin, holds him down for Eddie kicks out at 3.1, but it's enough to get the win in the Cruiserweight Championship. We should mention that during the match, Rey Mysterio had his mask ripped open several times by Eddie, where it was almost showing his face anyway.
Yep.
I think that you have some psychological problems if you watch this match and don't think it's 5 stars. It got 5 stars from me.
Yeah, man, this got 5 stars. Crap. Like on a 5-star scale, I'll give it 10 stars.
Yeah, I said 9.5 earlier off air.
Dude, like for me, I remember I was telling Mama LaRock all about this because I just gush about this match. For me, like I remember watching this on tape and back even as a youngster who knew nothing about professional wrestling. This match always stood out to me. And, you know, you had like jacked Eddie Guerrero who looked fantastic. You had Rey Mysterio with that classic Halloween bodysuit that people are to this day still paying tribute to. Yep. And you have both guys who are totally in the zone, who are going all in. I will say this time and time again. When people ask me, Nick, you know a lot about pro wrestling. You've watched a lot of pro wrestling in your life. You've watched more than you probably should have ever watched. You probably could have gone outside during that time.
Same here.
But when the people ask me, what is your all-time favorite wrestling match? This is the match I always point to and say, this is my all-time favorite. for just so many reasons. It's a classic. There's still so many things I think with a lot of the wrestlers who do the quote unquote flippy stuff, I think could definitely take and learn from. And especially a lot of younger wrestlers, I think this is without a doubt one of those matches. And, we've talked about it, like with, for instance, the Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA match that we referenced earlier. I think this is absolutely one of the matches where if I was running a wrestling school, I would make sure all of my students watch this one as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, see, like I said, I'm a little bit older than you. So when I first started watching wrestling, it was around like WrestleMania, probably 5 or 6. And the first match that I ever really saw was Bret Hart and Roddy Piper from WrestleMania 8. And it was absolutely a masterclass in like technical wrestling. But when I think about athleticism and power and just overall feeling, like I remember the feeling I got when I first watched this match, and it's the same every single time. The 30th, 40th time I've watched this match, you just get that feeling because it's so special. It's definitely in my top 10 matches of all time. It's not number 10. I can't say enough good things about it. Like, and I've been watching wrestling for probably 30 years. And people say, hey, I'm just getting into WCW. I actually had one of my friends from work who watches the podcast, and he was watching when we did Halloween Havoc 1998.
Yes.
And he said, yeah, the match was that show was kind of dog shit with Hogan and Warrior, and then except for Goldberg and DDP's. Like, is there any match that I should watch from WCW? And I said Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, Mask versus Cruiserweight title. Like, that's always what I go back to, because when you think of WCW, especially in the '90s, this is the match. This is it.
This is it. Yeah.
This is it. This is peak WCW. This is prime Rey Mysterio, and this is like peak human being Eddie Guerrero. Like it's perfect. I can't say enough about this. And when you put on a match like this in a show, and then you have not so good wrestling after it, it kind of dampers the situation. But yeah, man, I can't say enough good things about it.
Man, oh man. Yeah, this is a match we could probably just gush about for hours and hours.
Dude, we could talk about this match for 2 fucking hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
unfortunately,
we have to move on. We see a very not so NWO Eric Bischoff. Like we were talking about this during the news segment. Like he had been in the NWO for almost a year now, but he really hadn't figured it out. This is him almost figuring it out. We're almost at thank you, like Eric Bischoff.
Right.
Tip your waitresses. But we see a very new, just broken into the NWO Eric Bischoff say that Hogan can't wrestle tonight because it's not a safe and working environment in WCW. We have guys dropping from the rafters with bats, cages falling down, and it's not safe for the fan. Eric says he wants to make it perfectly clear that this isn't for Hogan's safety, but for the fans' safety. Bischoff says that the only way he will allow Hogan to wrestle if he has a written statement from J.J. Dillon and WCW brass saying that Sting is not allowed in the building at all tonight. He can't sell popcorn. He can't clean up after the show. He can't disassemble the ring. He can't be in the building at all. What did you think of that promo, Nick? See, I even said to my dad, I said, I'm visiting my dad this weekend. My dad's 75, so I'm trying to spend as much time with him as possible. But I said, Dad, come here. I said, when you think of bad guy Hulk Hogan, what do you think of? And he looked at the TV screen and he was like, oh, that's peak bad guy Hulk Hogan. I said, yeah, I go, when you think of the red and yellow Hulk Hogan, you think of the bandana and the huge American flag. But when you think of NWO on top Hogan, this 97 Hogan with the arms and the bandana and the glasses, that's him.
This is the evil Hogan.
Yeah, that's heel Hogan. It just blew me away because I was like, that's what I think of when I think of NWO Hogan.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the big things too. Is we talk and we mentioned a couple times here how there's still wrestlers at this point in time that are piecing it together and they're figuring things out.
Yeah,
And heel Hogan's been around at this point for what, like a year and a half, and
yeah.
everything is in place. It's
Oh, it's
perfect.
clicked.
Say what you
Yeah.
want about Hulk Hogan, the person, but in this instance, Hollywood Hogan,
Yeah.
this is the ultimate bad guy. At the very least, the ultimate bad guy for WCW.
Oh, yeah. And when you think about how over he was in the 80s and how beloved he was and people crying in the audience, and now you got this dastardly, cowardly, but still Hulk Hogan, but in bad guy form. It's so night and day. And I can't say, say what you want about Hulk Hogan as a person. We've already talked about this when Hogan died and we did the podcast. So we'll let you go and listen to that. But the fact that he could be both of those people is just it's just a testament of how good the character Hulk Hogan was.
Oh, absolutely, brother.
Yeah. So up next is Steve Mongo McMichael versus a mystery opponent. Mongo is out first. He's wearing his Steve Mongo McMichael's jacket. The commentary is talking about how he was a part of the 1986 Chicago Bears team that totally kicked the dick in of my New England Patriots, 55-10. I'll never forgive you, Mongo, you piece of shit.
Hey, listen. Mongo got to eat for free after that forever in Chicagoland, but it's also the last time we got any type of Super Bowl ring.
So Deborah comes out with Das Wunderkind, Alex Wright.
Ooh, big Bratwurst.
So the glaring thing about this match is that commentary is just not paying attention to the action at all. They're talking more about Hogan being scared of Sting, and that's why he doesn't want him to be in the building for the Piper match. Heenan talking about Hogan as a liar, and he's been a liar for 20 years, and it's really crazy because he's never wavered on that. Even when Hogan was the goodest of good guys, Bobby Heenan never trusted Hulk Hogan, and here we are 25 years later, and Heenan is exonerated.
Heenan was right the whole time, and everyone doubted him.
The whole time. Very basic, nothing going on match until Mongo hits the tombstone on Alex. So this is where it gets fucking wacky, dude. So Deborah has the referee's attention, and a very young Goldberg hits the ring, and he spears Mongo. Charles Robinson is really going out of his way not to notice that Goldberg is in the ring.
I thought they went right up to his legs.
Dude, even when Goldberg picks up Mongo for the jackhammer, he bumps into Charles Robinson, who turns around very quickly, and Deborah, who's got his back turned to the referee, he's going, "Hey, don't argue with me." She's not. He picks up Alex Wright. He picks up Mongo and hits the jackhammer.
Ref still doesn't hear it.
He picks up Alex Wright like a fucking ragdoll, dude. Did you see how he picked him up?
By the bratwurst.
Picked him up by the back of his shorts and by his bicep and just threw him like he was not. Alex Wright is 230 pounds.
Yeah, he's like 6'4". He's a big dude.
He picks up Alex Wright, throws him on top of Mongo for the win. After the match, Deborah gives Goldberg Mongo's 1986 Bears Super Bowl ring. Wright tries to dap up Goldberg, but he gets a spare in his jackhammer for his trouble. I gave the match 1 star, but I gave Goldberg's run-in a half a star.
I'll give it 1 solid star for 1 solid bratwurst because Alex Wright's the only redeemable person in this whole match.
And I think that's all the explanation that we need for that match. Yeah. Macho Man cuts a promo backstage with the NWO music in black and white with gorgeous Miss Elizabeth. She looks better here than she did in the 80s. It's crazy.
She looks so pretty here.
Dude, she's gorgeous. He says that DDP is a marked man, and on his best day, he shouldn't be anywhere near him because he's the greatest professional wrestler on earth. Macho Man says, asks Elizabeth what she's going to do if Kimberly shows up. She goes to talk, but Macho cuts her off because she's a horrible promo. Very pretty lady, horrible promo.
Yeah. To be fair, she's up there with wild, crazy man Randy Savage.
Oh, yeah.
And he's using up all his promo juices here because later on when he's on the website,
Yeah, he's fucking, he messes up on the website a lot, yeah. So up next, because God hates me, is Disco Inferno. Disco Inferno versus Miss Jackie in what was supposed to be a WCW World Television Championship match, but because of the Las Vegas State Athletic Commission, who don't really like men and women's matches, this had to be cut down, and it was basically Disco not being able to do anything in this match to Miss Jackie, and the television title couldn't be on the line. I said, holy shit, Jacqueline looks like an absolute smoke show. First 5 minutes of the match was just Disco powdering in and out of the ropes. Crowd is hot for this when Jacqueline finally gets her hands on Disco. Jacqueline gets a sunset flip, but Disco takes her down with a drop toe hold, but bails from the ring, looking distraught like he didn't want to hit her. Disco is back in. Miss Jackie goes after him, arm dragged by Disco as Jackie tries to reach him. Jackie finally gets his hands on him again, starts beating the dog shit out of Disco. He tries to walk out of the match, but Jackie chases him in the aisleway and continues to beat him up. Back in the ring, they exchange shoulder tackles. Jackie is just kicking his ass. Disco's really trying not to hit Miss Jackie, but she catches him sleeping and posts his crotch. So she drags his legs and pulls his legs between the ropes. Suplex by Miss Jackie onto Disco on the floor, and the crowd is in a frenzy. Huge clothesline by Miss Jackie and a DDT. Jackie with a top rope crossbody, but Disco rolls through and gets close too. Disco tries to bail out of the ring again, but Jackie grabs him, rolls him into a schoolboy, and finally gets the win. I gave this match a 1.5 stars, but I gave the half for Miss Jackie looking like just an absolute smoke show.
Oh, Miss Jackie looked incredible. You know, we mentioned Miss Elizabeth being very beautiful, but I don't think Jacqueline gets enough love for how she was looking in this era, and in particular on this night.
Jacqueline is one of the unsung heroes of like the WCW like divas like era, like the Trish Stratus, and she just stood out above everybody else. You know, she was crazy.
I like what Donnie said here. Had such a crush on Jackie. Love seeing her beat up guys, especially Disco.
Well, Miss Jackie's beating of Disco might have contributed to him being a piece of shit that he is today. So,
I mean, you know what? This match, though, I think is become one of the most cathartic matches as time has progressed. So, you know what? This was a fantastic match to watch, and I think beyond this one, also watching Disco Inferno take on basically the entirety of the flock and get obliterated the next month at World War III is another one for catharsis.
Yeah.
But I give this a 1.5 stars.
So the NWO music hits, and Kurt Hennig comes out wearing Ric Flair's robe. He's going to be facing Flair, who runs down to the ring and gets a super hot start in the match. Hennig doesn't even have time to get his robe off and is getting beat up around the ringside area. Kurt Hennig was given Arn Anderson's spot in the Four Horsemen, and he immediately turned on Flair and slammed his head in the War Games cage, joining the NWO. So that's why we have Flair so angry at his former protege. Really funny part where Hennig is being dragged out of the ring by his foot, so he grabs the referee, and the referee falls down with him.
That was a good comedy spot.
Yeah. Flair with his robe back on, strutting around, hitting Hennig with chops around the ring. This is a hard-hitting match going on in the ring between these two lifelong rivals, and the commentators can't stop talking about fucking Hulk Hogan, the NWO, Sting, and Roddy Piper.
Oh, don't worry, though, because Dusty Rhodes was talking about training dogs.
Yeah, I know, but thankfully Dusty gets everybody back on track by saying there's a great match going on in the ring and not to let the NWO distract them. even though he's talking about training dogs. Very methodical match with Hennig wearing down Flair for majority of it, back and forth. A very Ric Flair style match by both men. Hennig at one point tries to hit Flair with the steel chair as his head was against the ring post, very reminiscent of the cage slam spot at War Games.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand gave up his spots in the Horsemen for Hennig, yeah. For some reason, Hennig came to the ring with the Cruiserweight title belt.
Yes, you know what? That is true. I almost wonder if either it was lost or he just accidentally grabbed it from like a table full of titles. 'Cause I have seen people talk about that, but I don't know if we ever got a true answer.
Yeah. He hangs Kurt upside down in the corner and kicks the belt into Henning's face and gets himself disqualified. Flair continues to beat down after the match until the NWO run down and forcefully take Henning from the ring. Henning is holding his face, but there's no blood. Flair is strutting around the ring. The NWO doesn't attack Flair for some reason and lets him strut around. Match rating 3 stars because I love Mr. Perfect and I love Ric Flair and I love when they wrestle. I love their Loser Leaves Town WWF match in 1993, and I love this. I just wish it had a ending.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with your rating there. I'll also say 3. I think the biggest thing with this is we've just seen better from Hennig and Flair. But, not that this didn't have anything, because, we had those comedy moments too, but we also had, Flair legitimately, not wanting to have the pop and circumstance. He just wants to come in and fight. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever, because really never saw Flair sprint in unless it was War Games, which, again, following this makes sense with, what happened the last month, right? So I think everything worked in this match, but, I think the ending and some of the more smaller things like the commentary team having to get reined in by Dusty Rhodes of all people, the dog trainer, to be able to talk about this match with 2 legends of the business, even at this point, legends.
Yeah. You gave it 3 as well?
I gave it 3 as well, yeah.
Okay. Up next, J.J. Dillon comes out and says that none of Eric Bischoff's demands will be met, and Hulk Hogan will wrestle Roddy Piper inside the steel cage match. Tonight, Eric Bischoff flips out and says that he's going to steal WCW Monday Nitro from WCW and make it NWO Monday Nitro.
This was actually around that time because they were considering Thunder as the WCW show and Nitro as the NWO show. So it's kind of cool that they were already building towards that. And remember, this is around the time that all the shows like Nitro and all the pay-per-views, all the big ones, were having those mysterious thunder sound waves, thunder waves coming through. So they were subtly building towards the debut of Thunder.
Yeah. I wonder if the original plan was for NWO to take over Nitro before Thunder debuted, and then they were like, "Well, we need a WCW show, so we're going to put Thunder on the air."
From what I understand, I think it was one of those things of the Turner Network loving all the ratings and being like, "Hey, guess what? We're going to do what we're going to do to AEW in a few years and give them Collision. So here's some Thunder." And they're like, "Wait a minute, no, we don't need more time."
Yeah, I think even when Vince Russo came in '99, I think 99, I think he quit the company because they wanted him to write both Nitro and Thunder and without any extra pay, and he was just like, "Nah, I'm out."
I mean, that was the whole reason he quit WWF, right? It's because they had SmackDown.
Yeah. So next up is Last Call Scott Hall with 6 versus Lex Luger with Larry Zbyszko as the special guest referee. Luger got all the pyro budget for that night.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Which
it was literally like the Ricky Starks promo from the Ricky Starks pyro. Or the one they did on Ring of Honor when they ribbed Jimmy Jacobs.
Dude, what's crazy is going into this match, Lex Luger 2 months prior defeated Hulk Hogan for the world title.
Yeah, and that's crazy because Hogan won it back 2 weeks later.
Yeah, not even it was the following Sunday.
Yeah, that's crazy. So very basic big man match with lots of rest hold. Larry admonishing Scott for trying to take shortcuts. Lots of arm bars, sleeper holds, and Zbyszko yelling at 6 on the outside. Hall tries to. What's that?
I love Larry.
Oh yeah. Hall tries to go after Zbyszko, but Larry sends him over the top rope, which sends Bischoff out to the ring, who gets Sparta kicked by Zbyszko off the apron. Luger calls for the rack, but Eric Bischoff distracts Zbyszko. 6 runs in, hits Lex in the back of the head with the spin kick. Hall hits the outsider's edge on Lex Luger and gets the win, despite Zbyszko making a very hesitant 3 count. Hall makes Larry raise his hand after the match, and they go to leave. Luger is yelling something at Zbyszko. Zbyszko is saying, "What? Replay? What? The replay?" Larry gets up and inexplicably yells for a replay. Zbyszko sees the replay and tells the NWO to get back to the ring because the match is going to restart. Hall refuses at first, but Zbyszko starts counting to 10. Hall gets back in the ring at 8, and Larry pushes him into the torture rack. Larry calls for the bell, but as soon as he calls for the bell, Six kicks him and Luger both. Luger in the knee and Larry in the gut. Zbyszko has Six in a head and arm choke, but Bischoff breaks it up. Hall holds Larry, and Bischoff gives him a spinning head kick. Eric puts his foot on Zbyszko's chest, and Hall makes a very sarcastic 3 count. I gave the match 2 stars just because I like Scott Hall and I like Lex Luger and I love Larry Zbyszko. I thought this isn't the old saying there are no replays in wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'll chalk it up to one of those things where it's like, Larry Zbyszko just, having that extra power as the guest referee.
Yeah.
So, 'cause it's always the guest referee that, when we ever do get replays, it's the guest ref that does it.
Yeah.
Donnie Patty's saying, word is Hall and Larry were good buds from the AWA days.
Yeah. Hey.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So, what did you give this match, Nick?
I myself gave this match a star and a half. I really felt bad about it because everyone that was really a part of this match in one way or another is so great and has had such great contributions, but I don't know, this just didn't feel like the right match for these guys to be having at this point. And
Yeah.
I know it's, the follow-up that we've had from like the last couple months. And, we're trying to make a big deal out of Scott Hall going into World War III. And we're still trying to get Luger a spot since he was literally just the world champion 2 months prior.
Yeah.
So I understand, wanting to make sure these guys have a spot on the card here, but I don't know. I feel like we could have done maybe something a little different here. And even like if Luger and Zbyszko might have tagged or something.
Yeah, I would have liked to tag between Luger and Zbyszko, maybe versus Hall and Bischoff. That would have been pretty sweet.
Yeah. And that would have been much better than the Starrcade match that we talked about.
Yeah, I know. Jesus. So up next, they showed the pretty cool apocalyptic World War III pay-per-view promo for the Epic 60-man Battle Royal, which, spoiler, is won by Scott Hall. Next up is Macho Man Randy Savage versus Diamond Dallas Page in a Las Vegas sudden death match where there are no DQs, no countouts, no pinfalls. You can only win if your opponent does not answer the referee's standing 10 count.
Last man standing.
Yeah. This is prime DDP. The look, the attire, the hair, the tape that's always around his ribs, every single match he's wrestled in his entire career. This is Diamond Dallas Page. It's perfect.
Absolutely.
The first couple of minutes of the match is just both guys getting their shots in. It eventually evolves into Savage getting heat on DDP and targeting his ribs until DDP gets his lick back. At one point, Dusty goes on this long diatribe about nothing and ends it by going, hello, hello. When he doesn't get any response, Tony says to him, I'm still here, Dusty. Just because I didn't answer you doesn't mean I'm not here.
We might have said this earlier, it was off the air, but I want to pop that. Yeah. I want to pop that right into my repertoire to tell someone.
It's super crazy to me to think that Randy didn't blow out his knees doing that double axe handle to the outside, but boy, was I in for a surprise later.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that happened, and when I saw, I'm like, no.
Yeah. As both guys were brawling into the crowd, a fan takes off his NWO shirt, jumps up and down, and goes to throw the shirt, but probably realized that he had just spent $30 on it and thinks better.
And beer used to be like $3 at the arena at that point?
Yeah. He then stands there for the next minute with his shirt off, nipples out. DDP throws Savage into the set, what happens to be a bunch of tombstones. He picks up Randy and slams it on a makeshift casket, and it just explodes into a million pieces. Dusty says, holy cow, now that was a real tombstone pile driver, and everybody laughs.
Dusty's having the time of his life with this match.
Yeah. DDP picks up what looks like it's a cookie sheet, and just absolutely demolishes Randy over the head. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a part of the set or whatever.
My guess was it was like one of those they're like hard plastic, almost glass that they like put over a light.
Yeah, That's because it was like a brownish color. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think it might have been one of those, whether it's like a scrim or something. But
yeah,
man, that sound, that visual of it getting smashed over
yeah.
Savage's head was perfect. I'm sad we never really
And,
saw anything like that.
and then Savage just laid him on top of the tombstone with the other tombstone upright, so it just looked like he was dead. Uh, DDP drags Randy Savage back to the ring, but Randy takes a camera from the cameraman and hits DDP. But he kicks it back into his face, and Randy goes flying. Tony says that's going to be an expensive mistake. Dusty says about $100,000. Miss Elizabeth then decks the referee with a glass plate and chokes him with the broken camera cord. Kimberly comes out with the tightest pants in the world, thong out, and takes out Miss Elizabeth. Referee Nick Patrick now in the ring. Crowd is hot. Diamond cutter attempt by Savage. A diamond cutter attempt by Diamond Dallas Page, but Savage blocks. Savage is up to the top to hit the elbow to the ribs. Tony at one point says, "What happens if they both don't answer the 10 count?" And Bobby says, "Well, then both of them don't win." Love Bobby Heenan. Savage goes for another elbow drop, and DDP makes it up at 9 3/4, which was a crazy sell because his knee was still on the ground when the referee was going like to 10. Savage goes for a body slam. DDP turns it into the diamond cutter, but as he was up in the air, Savage's legs took out the referee. Nick Patrick back to his feet and gets a 9 count on both guys, even though Savage was clearly down for like a 20 count. Savage then mule kicks DDP and he falls to the outside of the ring. The referee starts counting and Savage grabs his foot. This allows somebody dressed as Sting to come down to ringside and hit DDP in the stomach with the bat, which begs to differ. Why did the referee need to be distracted if there was no disqualification in this match?
Right, none of the stuff they did on the stage mattered.
Yeah, and I said, "Oh, WCW, how I love you so." That's enough for Savage to get up before DDP and win the match. I said, "Loved it, great brawl." The commentators keep saying how they think that the fake Sting was wearing Hogan's boots, so it had to be him, but at no time did they zoom in on the fake Sting wearing the boots, so I guess we just have to take Tony Schiavone at his word.
Missed opportunity. Oh, you know what would have been really interesting? If this is what leads to the reintroduction, or I guess technically the introduction of the Disciple.
Oh, yeah, that would have been great. After the match, Savage attacks the referee and the trainer as they try to put DDP on the stretcher. Savage is escorted to the back, up the ramp by security, but comes back one last time to bop DDP in the head as they're wheeling him away on the stretcher. Savage eventually goes to the back, and DDP is screaming, holding his ribs as he is stretchered out into the backstage area in what looked like a waiting ambulance. I gave the match 3.5 stars. Nicholas, what did you think, my friend?
Man, this match was a mess. I'm actually, believe it or not, giving this match a solid 4 stars. This match was so much fun. I love this. This really picked a lot of the energy back up from the last match. And oh my goodness, fighting on the stage amongst the tombstones was one of the best things they could have done. And even though it was styrofoam, it still looked so cool. And as someone that's been put through styrofoam before with my buddies, I'm just saying, it can still hurt. It might not look, but that can hurt. And, you know, Donnie Patty on here, I can't get enough of Page and Savage, my favorite WCW feud. Without a doubt, one of the best ones by far, man. And, yeah, I mean, Randy Savage, I mean, I'm just going to pop up right now the picture because this is one of the best outfits and looks that Randy Savage ever had. It's so iconic.
Wow, that's a great picture. That's a candid one.
Yeah, and like just everyone just knocked out.
Yeah,
like,
the trainer, Nick Patrick.
Didn't get wrecked in this match, too. Like, I'd have been okay if this was the main event.
Yeah. Another thing, too, is do you remember the time that Savage lined up his do-rag with his glasses?
Oh, yeah. That man's fashion sense was par excellence.
But yeah, so then now we have the commentators talking up the main event. The cage starts lighting up blue and red. It kind of looks like a cop car. Michael Buffer with his nostalgic intros to this match, just crazy. Hogan out first.
There is a survivor.
Yeah, oh, dude, that was so great. Yeah. Hogan out first, and they dubbed over Jimi Hendrix Voodoo Child on Peacock because Triple H ain't paying that bill, brother. You can tell because Hulk Hogan is strumming on the guitar and singing, chopping down that with the edge of my hand as he's coming out. Piper comes out with the WCW World Championship looking like $1,000,000. That belt over his shoulder just looked amazing.
That should have been a real thing.
Should have been a real thing, yeah. So we get into the match. Hogan starts by running away and trying to climb up the cage, but Piper grabs a belt and starts whipping Hogan's ass.
Mac, wait, do you remember, like, at the time, what the consensus for this match was, and they called it Age in the Cage?
Oh, Age in the Cage. I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah.
So, funny little part when Piper grabs a belt and starts whipping Hogan, but the belt breaks, and at one point, Piper grabs Hogan and just starts biting his ass.
Literally.
Yeah. Piper bites Hogan's back and his forehead too. Hogan begs off, but Piper is stalking him. Tony pointed out that there's no referee inside the cage, and Randy Anderson is on the floor. Piper with a low blow, and I really don't remember how many times I've actually seen someone low blow Hulk Hogan, which is yeah. Hogan goes to the door, and commentary makes it like he's about to win, but Piper follows him, and Hogan slams the door on him. Piper sells like he fucking died. That was a great spot where he slammed him like four, and then he missed him one time.
I just love how the commentary, once they left the cage, was like,
yeah, they're like, Hogan's about to win. He's like, oh, they stepped outside at the same time, and it's like, no, they clearly did not. Hogan was out first.
Yeah, and they're just changing the rules on the fly for this. And dude, that cage was tall.
Dude, it was crazy. Yeah,
I think that's like the tallest cage I've ever seen.
Hogan tries to leave, and it appears the real Sting is here, and he points the bat at Hogan, giving Piper enough time to drag him back over the top. Piper and Hogan go back into the ring as Sting makes his way down for a closer look. Both men are brawling in the ring, using the cage to their advantage. Another Sting comes to ringside and stands next to the other Sting, as Hogan and Piper are now back on the floor after fighting near the top of the cage, where Hogan at one point choked Roddy Piper with the top of the cage as Piper was trying to climb over, which I thought was very innovative. Hogan whipping Piper with his weight belt now. Hogan slapping Piper in the face over and over again. I can do this all night long, Hulk Hogan says as he channels 2012 Captain America. Hogan back up the cage and almost out as one of the Stings stops him with the threat of the bat. Third Sting is in the aisle, and two more come from the crowd as I start to roll my eyes.
Wow, all the power plant guys are getting money.
Yeah. Both men at the top of the cage. More Stings appear, maybe 7 or 8 now. I've lost count. Piper using Hogan's own shirt to choke him until he gets a hold of the WCW Championship, and Hogan clocks Piper in the head. Hogan calls Piper just another victim, channeling Taz from 1998. Hogan is busted open. He hits a leg drop on Piper. Hogan calls for the referee to come in the ring and make the cover, and I'm very fucking confused. The commentators say that
everyone is.
Yeah, the beginning of the match, the commentators say you can win by going over the door, out the cage, but both men have already gone over the cage and out the door. Both commentators didn't seem to call it like it was a big deal, but now there's pins. Hogan calling for help from the back now. Here comes Macho Man climbing to the top of the cage as the Stings do absolutely nothing. Savage with a top rope, top of the cage axe handle, and he hits Hogan by mistake. I went, what in the fuck is he doing? He is a 43-year-old man doing this to his knees.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a long career going into this. This is, like we've said, like, we are not kidding when we say this is like one of the tallest steel cages of all time. Look at this was swaying, so it wasn't even like super steady. I think it's funny too, because you can tell this is actually the Thunderdome cage match, just without the like tilted part.
Yeah, dude, that was crazy.
Look at that. I think that's the tilted part he's standing on. I think they've put it upwards, so it's even taller than the Thunderdome.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. And he's jumping from the outside over into the ring.
Yeah. And Hogan, of course, is Hogan, so he's not going to catch him, brother. That doesn't work for me.
No. Savage accidentally hits Hogan. Piper disposes of Savage over the top rope. Hogan is going for the title belt, but Piper slaps on the sleeper hold immediately. Hogan passes out. Referee Randy Anderson does the holding up of the hand 3 times. It looked like Savage was supposed to get in the ring before that, but he doesn't, and they call for the bell. Savage immediately attacks, and it's chaos as Eric Bischoff comes out, and Hogan kills Piper with the WCW belt like 3 times. They cuff Piper to the cage and beat the crap out of him. Savage is just taking liberties, just punching Piper right in the head. Hogan with the Sting mask whips Piper with the belt badly. A fan jumps the cage wearing a Sting mask and gets the shit absolutely beat out of him by Hogan and Savage, who go to the other side of the ring to start stomping him out, while Piper is just handcuffed to the cage doing absolutely nothing. Security is trying to get the fan out of the ring, but Savage won't stop kicking his ass and trying to stomp his head in. They finally get the fan out of the ring, and you catch a glimpse of his bloody face as they're dragging him out. The show goes off the air with Roddy Piper handcuffed to the cage. And
Tony Schiavone is begging, like, please, guys, wrap it up. We're almost out of time.
Yeah. And the wrestlers are more concerned about kicking the fans' ass than they are about doing the post-match angle. Our last shot is Roddy Piper out cold, still handcuffed to the cage, while a man sticks a life-size Roddy Piper doll through the cage and starts waving it over Roddy's head. I gave the match 2.5 stars.
Oh, did you remember too? With the fans, like, especially earlier too, they were like throwing Slim Jims.
Oh yeah. I gave that match 2.5 stars. I'm gonna give you overall. I'll give you my overall afterwards. You give me your thoughts on the match.
You know, it was chaos, but it wasn't the same fun chaos that Randy Savage and Diamond Dallas Page was. This was a chaos that was like, I don't know what's happening. I'm confused. Commentary was confused. The referees were confused. And when everyone's confused, it's just not a great time. And I feel like we should have just pivoted, and in a perfect world, we would have ended with the previous match, and that would have been that. But this match in particular was such a mess. I'll give it 2 stars, and that feels generous for this match. And I feel like one of the stars in particular is just because Randy Savage was willing to do that freaking jump.
Oh, God. That took a year off his career.
Yeah, I mean, because when you think about it, like, I think that's one of the things that ended his career, honestly, because he wrestles a little bit after that, and then he has to get surgeries, he's got to take time off, and then we never see him full-time again.
Yeah. Overall, I thought this was a really good show. I gave it 3.5 stars.
The whole show?
Yeah, the whole show, yeah. It had some really low points, but overall really entertaining. It's funny to see what they were doing with the very early on Bill Goldberg. Crazy to think that he'd be the #1 star in the company in less than 6 months. Yeah, and I gave the overall show 3.5 stars. Very, very enjoyable show. It took me 3 days to watch it because, unfortunately, I was down and out with COVID-19 virus. But I enjoyed it. I didn't. Usually, when I think about a 1997 to 1999 WCW show, I don't think I'm going to enjoy it because I'm very conditioned to believe that it's going to be NWO heavy and Hogan repeating the same line over and over again, and Eric Bischoff shenanigans and stuff. But I was very pleasantly surprised by how much I liked this show.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of fun matches. I myself agree 100%. I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. I think the biggest thing with this is it's such a mixed bag show, which, on the surface is good, but then when you watch and you go from really great opener to then, oh my goodness, Jericho almost died. And then you go to one of the greatest matches of all time, but then you have a really bad Hogan main event in Halloween Havoc, which it's sure, it gets followed up by a worse Hogan match the following year, but all in all, I don't like that we ended the show on that note when the note right before, if we ended with Savage and Diamond Dallas Page destroying the set, felt like so much more fun. And there was a lot of chaos, and not all of it was great. So overall, though, it was a fun show to watch, and I think, if you've never seen this show and you're looking for a WCW show to jump into that's got a lot of variety to it, I think this is a great one to go on.
Yeah, you really can't go from a Rey Mysterio Jr. and Eddie Guerrero match into a Steve Mongo McMichael and Alex Wright match that's going to have a schmoz ending,
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, Nick, so I think this is the part in the show where, before we say goodbye to everybody, that I hand over the bi-monthly show pick to you for what we are going to do in November of 2025.
Ooh, 2025. So we got some options here, And, my heart and soul was definitely looking at, um, even, I was looking at World War III, but we did cover that fairly recently.
Yep.
So I don't know if I want to go and do another World War III necessarily, but still undecided. We got a lot of great WCW shows, but also sometimes watching the bad ones can be really fun too.
Dude, what's his name? Greed turned out to be like really good for us.
That was actually more of a fun show than it should have been.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, hey, listen, we don't abide by any format here. We don't go, oh, we just watched the Halloween Havoc. We can't watch another one. No, if you want to watch World War III, 1997, or whatever one you want, I'm down for it. But if you feel like, because you're 50% owner of this show as well.
We are the tag champions.
We are, yeah. We are both a consortium. So
yes. You know
whatever you want to do.
I agree with that. I mean, you know what? We've had the theme song playing in the background. We kept referencing it. It's November. Why not? Let's do World War III, 1996 next month.
Yeah.
Getting through them, baby. Let's go.
All right. Yeah, another dude. I'm so pumped. Dude. You know what? I don't know if we were talking about it on the show or before the show because sometimes it blends. But you were saying people thought that the 60-man over-the-top battle royal was like really convoluted and really unnecessary and everything. But then when you watch the match, you're like, and I think you even said it on the show last night, the pre-recorded show you did after Dynamite. I think you even said like guys like jumping Jeff Farmer. I'm not saying he's in this match, but this is this is the only opportunity these fucking lifelong scrubs are going to get at even sniffing a title.
And that's one of the fun things, too, because you're not going to usually see a lot of the guys in the ring together that you will see in a Battle Royal. And when you got 3 rings and 60 men, there's a lot of crazy stuff there. And 1996, I remember enjoying for the sheer variety of it. And, I'm looking at a preview of the card right now, and just the opener. I'm not going to spoil what the opener is, but...
Yeah, I go in blind.
But yeah, we got some good stuff here, I have to say. And it might be a mixed bag show, but I'm looking at some of the matches on there right now, and we're gonna have some fun.
All right. Well, Nick, this is always enjoyable. I apologize about last month; life gets in the way. But it's a pleasure doing this show with you. I'm glad you thought it up, and I give you full credit for the creation of this show. And you were kind enough to let me. You're kind enough to give me 50% of it. So
that's why we're the champs, man.
That's why we're the champs. I appreciate you. I appreciate your insight and your vast knowledge of WCW. So if you want to take us out, Nick, we're just in time for SmackDown, ladies and gentlemen. Ilya Dragunov has issued an open challenge for the United States Championship.
I think that's where Hennig's U.S. title went, into the hands of Ilya Dragunov.
Oh, God.
But hey, thank you so much for joining us. We've got a lot of these up in the archive if you want to check these out. Like we said, next month we're talking all about World War III, 1996. Another show I had a lot of fun with. You can find me over on Instagram at NeekBreaker. Of course, follow me on Facebook if you see Nick LaRocco posting around there. I love being able to talk and share all kinds of things, wrestling related or even nerd culture related with you guys. Mack, where are they going to find you, my man?
Yeah, just Curbside Hero on Instagram. If I'm not making fun of some wrestling YouTuber personalities, I'm posting notes. So yeah, just give me a follow, and if you don't like me, maybe mute me. Don't unfollow me. I need the followers.
Yeah, of course, keep us followed. And Donnie Patty, man, hey, thank you for joining us, and everyone else.
Thank you, Donnie.
Thank you so much.
Donnie was one of the guys that was really excited on my Instagram that we were doing this tonight. So.
Yes, Donnie, hope we see you there for World War III, man. And hey, listen, thank you so much for watching this with us. You guys are the reason that we continue to do this, and it's a whole lot of fun to be able to relive the days of WCW with my WCW Tag Team Champion here. And hey, let's just get right out there. Thank you so much for joining us. We mentioned a lot of things for you to check out. So hey, what are we doing holding it here? Go check it out.
This concludes our broadcast day. Good night. And God bless
the sport of professional